It's the Atlanta Grubber podcast with surefire restaurant reviews from throughout the Atlanta metropolitan area. Hosted by Joe Duffy, there is a special focus on his home chomping grounds of Alpharetta and Roswell. You can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Atlanta Grubber and on atlantagrubber.com. Without further ado, here is your infallible restaurant whisperer, Joe Duffy.
Yes, it is finally here, episode 10 of the Atlanta Grubber podcast. Of course, that doesn't include those two special episodes, and I promise you, I have some fantastic in my specialty, those hidden gems to tell you about, several places that should be getting substantially more publicity than they do. I certainly don't anticipate disappearing for this long again.
What happened, Joe? What happened? Where the hell have you been?
And nothing really all that exciting. In addition to my semi-real job, I'm kind of waiting on an APAP machine, which is a specialty CPAP type machine. Could use a lot more energy. Then I finally find out it's not because of my horrible diet and my old age. It's very likely related to the fact that I do suffer from a very severe case of sleep apnea. So once I get this machine, and now there's a nationwide shortage because of a recall, but hopefully very soon I'm going to have a lot more energy, and we'll do this at least every 2 weeks, if not more often. Here on episode 10, although yeah, many of my favorite places to eat are echo chamber joints, I do specialize in restaurants that should be getting a lot more buzz. I'm going to tell you about the best Chinese restaurant in Atlanta, and few people know about it, at least among, the non-Asians. One of the top 3 cheesesteak places in metropolitan Atlanta is very well hidden, and I was the first person to tell you about Big Dave's back when it was called Dave's Phillies and Water Ice. A tremendous breakfast spot in Suwanee, and another potential hidden gem in the same town. Also, some of Metro Atlanta's best barbecue is way out in Canton. Now, before we get to it, I want to thank our partners, Mitch's Meats and Fish in Roswell, From the Earth Restaurant and Brewery, also in Roswell. Of course, our official beloved charity, Star House, which is at starhousefoundation.org. OffshoreInsiders.com, the best sports betting picks in the world. And DuffyCents.com, that is SCENTS, for Scentsy products. SH Spicy Garden in the Just Go, that's JUSGO food court at 3875 Venture Drive in Duluth. Of course, I call it the Just Go food court. And for those of you who don't want to drive,
sure you can. You just go.
Some of you may know who Steve Drucker is. I mean, he was an early influencer before the term even existed. He's every bit as obnoxious as me. Maybe one of the very few people on earth who's even more obnoxious than I am when it comes to food. But he was on eGullet and Road Food and whatnot. He's been to Korea 6 times. I know at least 5 major Chinese cities. Many highly rated Chinese places around the country, so he knows what he speaks of, and Asian food is definitely his specialty. He sends me a text and tells me the chef from Mama's, a place that I've told you about for quite a few years, has moved to this SH Spicy Garden, although I will add that Steve says that Mama is still, quote-unquote, 80 to 85% as great, so still keep going to Mama's Kitchen out there in Johns Creek. So I ran out and I had to try this place. The lamb and beef malatang are absolutely off the chain. Now, the government of China tells the English translation would be spicy hot pot. The key ingredient is mala sauce, very pronounced in Sichuan cuisine. Mala, which I think is how it's really pronounced, or mala, however you want to say it. It means numbing and spicy hot. The beef is shredded like ropa vieja in this particular dish. It's a contender for my favorite dish in all of Atlanta. I'd probably give the beef a slight lean, but really pick your protein. Order the malatang. It is just so potent and a forceful dish. Also, as an appetizer, had the spicy pork intestines. Now, I know a lot of you white people, you're making all these faces. Don't knock it until you try it, and believe me, if you try it, you're not going to knock it. Nice texture of really crispy on the outside, but so soft and tender and delicious inside. Don't know why they put salt on top of it. I think the dish itself has more than enough salt. Most resembles bacon on taste, not as greasy, a little bit different texture, as I said. Of course, this is what is chitlins or chitterlings. A lot of people would recognize that as, look, my conclusion, I've been to Hanto, Tasty China, Masterpiece, Frank Ma, Goose. This is possibly the best Chinese restaurant in the history of Atlanta, and they have a sister food stall, which I'm going to tell you about. Yes, Formoso, also in the Just Go food court, 3875 Venture Drive in Duluth. It's Taiwanese street food next to, and as I said, the same owner as SH Spicy Garden. David, super friendly guy at the counter. I verified that my information was true. He did say it is the same, quote, famous chef at both places. So finally I'm like, all right, this guy needs to have publicity. What the heck is this guy's name? His response was, I'm not kidding, I don't think he has an American name. Chef. I wasn't sure what to say, so I just told David.
I'm an American, honey. Our names don't mean shit.
David's recommendation, I went with the Taiwanese-style sirloin hot iron. Tremendous mushroom sauce. Black pepper sauce is also an option. This is really a great gateway dish for those of you Americans who are a little bit hesitant, but you want to break into the authentic cuisine slowly. I don't think there's anything that Americans would really find all that intimidating about this dish. It's on top of wheat noodles with an egg over easy. Had the Taiwan deep-fried oyster, though not necessarily modestly breaded. The coating wasn't all that overpowering in taste and complemented the shellfish quite well. What a 1-2 punch. The same owner, same chef, right next door to each other at the
Just Go, I'll catch up.
Just Go to Just Go. Mercy, mercy me. I can't even tell you how much I love Mitch's Meats at 30 East Crossville Road, Suite 160 in Roswell. Best selections of premium meats and fish. 2 types of Wagyu beef tenderloin. He's got prime meats, sushi grade seafood. What Mitch always says, if he can't eat it raw, he's not going to put it in his case. Cut to order, and for me, I like eating a lot more than I like making foods. The best soups in the world in both quality and quantity. I especially recommend whatever seafood chowder he has that day. Mitch's Meats, 30 East Crossville Road in Roswell.
Now to sound bites with news, notes, and quick hitters on Atlanta area restaurants.
Onward to Little Lunch Market at 1805 Hembry Road in Alpharetta. This is tiny, well hidden in a strip center by a car rental along an industrial stretch.
Is well hidden. Try and find it.
It is well worth it. Why? It's one of the top 3 cheesesteaks in all of metropolitan Atlanta with Big Dave's and Fred's. And I was telling you about Big Dave's before anyone ever heard of it. It used to be called Dave's Phillies and Water Ice. And the guy, Derek, the owner, he had maybe one guy working with him. There was never any lines. But this Little Lunch Market does a great job. He calls it a grinder entree. Very nice guy, owns it. It's really close to the real thing, believe me. I've had plenty of real Philadelphia cheesesteaks. He just recently added a chicken cheesesteak to the menu. Pretty authentic, tremendous, and something that you're not going to find at a lot of places in Atlanta. Although they're the top 2 things I would recommend, far from the only 2 things. Take your pick of any of the smoked chicken sandwiches, comes directly off the big green egg. A female customer raved about the Alpharetta, which had sun-dried tomatoes, mozzarella cheese, fresh basil pesto. Not biased by the fact she was a beautiful young lady. This is a good recommendation as well. Although I agree, my favorite is the smoky chicken, which has bacon, Gouda cheese, chipotle mayo. Chorizo meatloaf also was tasty. It's made out of beef, pork, and chorizo sausage. Really good place. Top thing you do want to try, though, is the cheesesteak at Little Lunch Market. Country Pepper at 686 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, Suite 200 in Suwanee. So yeah, I went with the jerk chicken over cheese tortellini, heated it up several hours later, and it was Really good. Small menu, but even my reheated dish suggests there's very serious potential here. The owner is such a sweet lady with a very calming voice. Potential top shelf hidden gem, but I must go back and try the curry goat or oxtail on premises. Country Pepper in Suwanee. To eat and drink, I love From the Earth at 1570 Holcomb Bridge Road in Roswell. Named the best brew pub in the country by USA Today. Seasonal farm-to-table menu. Some of my favorites that I've had, the Shrimp Scampi Skillet, Salmon Club, and my wife adores the Pretzel Bites. Great beer, rotates, but going out west IPA, can't find my way back home among those that I've ordered many, many times. Fantastic bands, including their summer back porch concert series and some shows that I've seen. Driving and Crying, Sean Mullins, and the Smithereens with Marshall Crenshaw. Eat, drink, and hang out. Check out From the Earth's menu at ftebrewing.com. 441 South Barbecue at 149 Reinhardt College Parkway in Canton. I've only been once, but I will flat out tell you this is one of the top meals I had back in 2021. It is going to be a hike for many. If your list of best barbecue places in Metro Atlanta does not include this place, you need to trash it and start all over. Now, if I say without question it is among the best, that means I love everything. I had the brisket, pork, turkey, and sausage, yeah, all in one sitting. Okay, I did bring some home, so I suppose you could say in 2 sittings. Still, my favorite things, it's tough to single them out, but if you're going to make me, I would say the Brunswick stew and that Alabama sauce. You know, my favorite barbecue places for meats and sides, and then my favorites for sauce are often distinct lists. Let me give you an example. Ziegler's Barbecue, way out there as well in Ackworth. Great meats. I thought the sides were okay. But when we're talking about places that have great sauces, though not necessarily fantastic meats, the original Spice Wright, Williamson Brothers, Smokin' Pig out in Valdosta. Again, I love the sauces. The meats can kind of range, but they're, you know, for the most part, those meats are good, so they're worth stopping at, but they're not among my favorites. King Barbecue, short-lived place at Avalon. Great sides. The meats were so-so. That's why it was pretty short-lived, despite having big-name chef Sean Doty and pitmaster from Fox Brothers behind it. Anyway, you get the point. Here at 441 South Barbecue, it is really rare that I love the meats, the sides, and the sauces. This was a very long drive for us, at least 45 minutes or so, but this is one of the great barbecue places in metropolitan Atlanta. We are talking about 441 South Barbecue. The Roswell Beer Festival is back, and it benefits the best charity in the area, StarhouseFoundation.org. Spectacular selection of both local and national beers at the Roswell Beer Fest. Make sure you visit RoswellBeerFestival.com. Flavor Rich at 1175 Buford Highway out in Suwanee. Yes, the other part of Buford Highway. It started out as a food truck. It still exists, but they do have a brick and mortar place now. Christopher Fletcher and Angelica Finley, they met while working at the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton Roots More Than Show, as the co-owners have a weekday menu that really reads a lot more like a brunch menu. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. The first time I went here, completely blown away. Crab cakes, eggs Benedict for me, strawberry shortcake French toast for my daughter. And I'm telling you, not since old Hogan's Heroes out in Hogansville did I have such upscale food at a very low-key, no-frills atmosphere. By the way, Google Hogan's Heroes, Hogansville, Chef Jeff Spader. Find out why that place closed. Maybe an interesting story. Second time I went, also pretty good, but not necessarily as mind-blowing as the first time. I'm 96.52% sure I asked for the chicken sandwich, but wound up getting chicken and waffles, which is only on the breakfast menu, and I was there at about 1 o'clock, so I guess I'm a very special dude. Anyway, not quite as great as Hen Mother Cookhouse. Still, very good adaptation of this southern staple. Truthfully, the duck fat fries tasted like they were thrown back into the deep fryer after they had been sitting around for a while. Still, I had one great meal, one good meal here, so another potential quote-unquote hidden gem, flavor-rich in Suwanee. The Atlanta Grubber podcast brought to you by OffshoreInsiders.com for sports betting picks. We go to Breadwinner Cafe and Bakery, 5482 Chamblee Dunwoody Road in Dunwoody.
Here's my darling Breadwinner.
It's in the heart of downtown Funwoody in the old Wright's Gourmet. Same owner and essentially the same concept as Farm to Ladle, which I have had at Avalon. Now, Breadwinner has a little bit larger menu, but similar items. So if you're going to choose between the two, like, for example, I live a little bit closer to Avalon, but Breadwinner has, as I said, more selection, not to mention, although it's a lie and a myth that it's tough to park at Avalon, still, it is easier to get a convenient spot if you go to Breadwinner. So I would choose Breadwinner over the two. When I went, I got the half turkey Reuben, which isn't really a Reuben, no kraut or slaw, but pickles. It was really good. Then, of course, I get a big appetite, and I also got a half of a muffaletta. Both are really good sandwiches. Turkey chili gets the most buzz, and although for the specific item, I'd give Super Jenny the slight edge, no question when it comes to my favorite chilies, Breadwinners. Turkey chili, without question, will make the list. Wife likes her Caesar salad. Again, some of the stuff, as I said, the Reuben might be somewhat deceptively named, and the wife said the Caesar salad was, the dressing was good, but she didn't really think that it tasted like Caesar dressing, and I tasted a little bit. I agree with her. Didn't look like it. Either way, first bite, Breadwinner, definitely a winner, and we went to the location in Dunwoody. They do also have a location in Sandy Springs, and as I said, pretty similar concept to Farm to Ladle as well. Crispina Ristorante and Pizzeria, 3300 Cobb Parkway Southeast in the Vinings part of Atlanta. Now, my friend Joan Durbin is a retired writer and food critic for Neighbor News. She loves the Kennesaw location. Her partner, a native New Yorker, said the veal parmesan is the best he's had in 3 decades in Atlanta. My daughter had a softball game over in the Vinings area. I'm like, I gotta try that veal parmesan. Well, it turns out at the Sminings location, they do not have veal parmesan, but they do have Yankee quality veal Adriano. The wife got lasagna. We both enjoyed. If I ever get out to Kennesaw, I'll definitely try the veal, but a nice solid place to visit in the Vinings. Crispina Ristorante and Pizzeria. Again, as I explained up front, I hope to bring you these podcasts a lot more often. Please visit all of our partners and friends of Atlanta Grubber, Mitch's Meats and Fish in Roswell, DuffyScents.com for Scentsy products, SCENTS, OffshoreInsiders.com sports betting picks, From the Earth Restaurant and Brewery in East Roswell, and the Starhouse Foundation at starhousefoundation.org, which also puts on the Roswell Beer Festival as their #1 fundraiser. Please support that as well.